How important was China this go-around? Cory.
China was hugely important for the company. I mentioned that revenues were nearly half that of the United States. We know they have huge expansion plans in China. The company intends to be up to 40 stores by the end of next year. So China looming very large, and I use that phrase advisedly because large iPhones are what drove this quarter and drove the quarter in China. It's also worth noting, as I'm starting to populate my model here, that the iPad business is not doing great. I mean, they announced a new product in the quarter, the iPad Air with a thumbprint and a slightly thinner version, and those sales were down 22% year over year, and it's the fourth consecutive quarter of revenue declines for the iPad. So some of that was driven, of course, by the introduction of the iPad mini. The ASPs were coming down, even though they were selling more.
See, this is a bit of an issue, though. Hang on there. I want to get Leigh and Mark's interpretation of this, because 21.42 million iPads in the first quarter versus estimates at 22.1. As Cory points out, they've been coming down. Basically, everyone's phone keeps getting bigger. And so you're seeing this merger, so to speak, between the iPhone market for phones and the iPad market. Is it effectively that people are just saying, I only need one device, that's it?
Yeah, the larger iPhone basically became a reading device, and that really was what you had an iPad for. Now the iPad is really becoming an enterprise device, as the Microsoft Surface really is, although that's not really selling too well. But you're seeing a kind of a stratification of what people use each device for, and you're not going to go buy the iPad if most people are going to go buy the larger iPhone.
They're going to have their phone,
especially in China, and that's the most important number here, is the China number, up 100% quarter over quarter. Basically, when an analyst looks at that Apple stock and the multiple that it trades at, the most important thing is to see that massive potential growth so that you can support that multiple at these really large numbers. And when you see a number like that, I mean, that really supports the stock.
And what's incredible is that we are in this environment where we have seen consumers scaling back, not just in the U.S., but in Asia. We're seeing it in Europe, and yet they're still spending on their Apple products, Mark.
You know, it's frankly not a surprise. The aspirational products for the consumer over the last 20 years have been certain labels for retail. There have been certain cars. Apple globally is the #1 most aspirational product probably in the world right now. You're seeing it in China. You're seeing it in the States. And if kids and teens, et cetera, want one thing, and they say they get one big one for Christmas, guess what they want?
That's
they want a large factor iPhone.
You know, Tim Cook had taken some criticism early on, Cory, with some questioning his strategy. A lot of questions when he came out with the Beats acquisition, because there was a feeling that was sort of diverging from what the company would typically do, which is to build from within. Is this the validation that he needed?
Well, I think, you see changes going on in their business. As I start to, again, go through some more details here. The quarter for iPad sales, just in terms of units, forget the pricing of the device, this is the worst calendar fourth quarter since 2011 for the iPad. So clearly systemic change and worsening in that business. And I think maybe it is the larger phone thing. I know, anecdotally that seems to make a lot of sense. But we do see a lot of carry on with the Macintosh business. This is another quarter that Macintosh sales year over year are up 14%, and that's the fifth quarter in a row where we've seen a year over year increase in Macintosh sales. So more people are going to the Mac platform, just as more people are going to the iOS phones. The iPad
Cory, look at the dichotomy
well.
between what we saw in Microsoft yesterday and what we saw at Apple right now. When you think about the ecosystem for the Microsoft platform, and you look at the ecosystem for Apple, isn't that what we're seeing? They're stealing share on the desktop, they're stealing share of the phones. And that's obviously a trend that is not only continuing, it's accelerating.
And look what Satya Nadella said yesterday about Microsoft, about their plan to get people to use the Windows OS on the phone, which I think is fantastic, and to get people to use the Windows OS and Windows or Office on other devices. They're going to give away Office for free to the iOS users, and they're going to give away the phone software for free to the phone makers if they're willing to build around Windows. So Windows is giving it away. Apple is running away with all the profits in this business.